Course is the most beautiful racetrack in America, hands down.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the breeding stock sale. Book one. Good to have you back with us.
And welcome in, everybody, to the Keeneland Look Ahead. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now on a live edition. Tonight, we were on tape last night, but we're live with you this evening. And what in the wild, wild west happened today in Lexington? Late pick 4, $53,000. Late pick 5 pays $107,000. Nobody hit the pick 6. Good news as we look ahead to the October 21st Friday card is there's a $29,000 pick 6 carryover to attack. Of course, the culprit to all those big payoffs, back-to-back long shot winners in races 7 and 8. Fancy Martini at $111 in race number 7. Really the big blow up here. Joe Sharp train winning Ryan for James Graham. If you had that one, you're going to have a couple Fancy Martinis tonight, and congratulations if you did so. Let's review quickly what happened today on the card at Keeneland. 2 wins today for Corey Lannery and Martin Garcia in the saddle. They picked up 2 victories. And for Todd Pletcher, he got another win. He had a dead heat in the last race, so give him 2 victories in the finale as the Pletcher horses, Pure Pauline and Grand Entrance, couldn't be separated at the finish line. Same trainer, dead heat in the 9th and final today. A very interesting day at the track. Ignacio Correas had a winner for the 2nd straight day, and his barn's really picking up steam in the last 4 starters at Keeneland for the Correas trainees. 2 wins and a 2nd place finish among those last 4 starts. Vincent Chemino is riding those horses, so keep an eye on that. The CNC factory, the old CNC music factory, maybe there. Correas and Cheminade working things very, very well. I doubt they sing CNC Music Factory, the pair of them. It's good to be back with you live again today. Fresh haircut, if you've noticed, cropped. I don't know. Maybe we'll change the luck for a good thing. I don't know. The handicapping the last 2 days has been just all right. A couple winners on Wednesday. 2 wins today. We did get one of our key plays home, a $16 winner that we needed in the middle of the card today. So that was nice. We had a profitable day just by a few cents, $19 and some on the return for the 2 winners today on a 9-race card. So we've shown a profit 6 of the last 7 days, and with our 7 of the last 8, I believe it is now, and up $72.98 for the meet through 95 races, 10 days into the meet right now. And again, flat bet profit on our top selections up to $72.98 after today's racing. So feeling good about that. Maybe the fresh dew. We got rid of that wings on the side. It kind of looked like Grandpa from the Addams Family there for a little bit. So we're trimmed up and we're ready to go here for the Friday action. Before we get into that, though, we've got some Breeders' Cup news and notes for you. Todd Pletcher, we mentioned having a really big meet here at Keeneland. He had a couple horses this morning out working. Chocolate Gelato, his winner of the Frizette Stakes, going to be one of the favorites, if not the favorite, for the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies. She worked a half mile on 49 at Keeneland, and on the track this morning, we'll give you a chance to look at the Breeders' Futurity winner. Forte was out there this morning working in company, and so we get Forte to the outside here. Lost Ark is the workmate on the inside. So again, on the outside with the white cap is Forte, winner of the Breeders' Futurity, also winner of the Hopeful Stakes. The good thing for Forte is he got that 2-turn race at Keeneland, right? In the Breeders' Futurity at a mile and 16. Same trip, same track. Everything's going to be the same. Competition gets a little deeper between the Breeders' Futurity and the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, but he's already made that extension around 2 turns. After winning the Hopeful, had he stayed in New York and running the Champagne, that would have been a 1-turn race, and we wouldn't know about his 2-turn ability. Now, it was a tough race on Forte in the Breeders' Futurity. So these workouts are important to watch a horse like this come out of that race. He went head and head with Loggins for about 3 furlongs in the Breeders' Futurity. And you see here, Lost Ark on the inside is giving him everything he wants in this work. In fact, the rider on Lost Ark is pretty motionless, and Forte can't win the work. This is not a good sign for the Breeders' Futurity winner. Look, I know they don't pay in the morning, and this horse is his first work back since winning a Grade 1 race, but he's not winning the gallop out. He's not doing anything exceptional. Again, Lost Ark on the inside wins the work, and the big question coming out of the Breeders' Futurity was that too hard of a race? Was that too big of a prep for those two outstanding juveniles? Both Loggins and Forte laid their bodies on the racetrack that day. The first work back for the Todd Pletcher trained Forte tells me that maybe he did put too much on the track. We know this about Loggins. He is skipping the Breeders' Cup. It was only the second career start for Loggins. Trainer Brad Cox announced through some of the racing media here in the last 24 hours that Loggins would bypass the Breeders' Cup and look forward to a 3-year-old campaign. Absolutely a smart move. And another podcast I do with Jeff Siegel, the It's Official podcast, he and I both surmised that we would like to see Loggins just skip the Breeders' Cup after that really difficult race in which he ran second in his second career start, stretching out in the stakes company. He ran fantastic. He's got a big future, but to throw him right back into the fray with really no recovery time seemed like a tough task. Loggins is skipping the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. Forte here did not look good to me personally watching that workout coming out of the Breeders' Futurity. That makes Cave Rock, who was already going to be one of the biggest favorites on Breeders' Cup Day, really, really a standout in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, coming from California off wins in the Del Mar Futurity and also last time out in the America Pharos. So if you're a Cave Rock fan, certainly what you saw this morning for Forte is not going to scare you away. If you're a Forte fan, he's going to get another work here before the Breeders' Cup. We want to see it pick up. It's got to pick up. It's got to be better than that, I think, if he's going to beat a horse like Cave Rock. We will find out. Other news from Brad Cox on the Breeders' Cup front before we get into this Friday handicapping. He said that the Dirt Mile will be the destination for Cyberknife, winner of the Haskell this year. Another good move there. I think that's the race I would rather see him in. I think he fits better in there than trying to go in the 1.25 mile against Flightline and Company in the Classic. If Cyberknife's up for a Breeders' Cup Classic, it may be next year at age 4. But I think the Dirt Mile, very smart move by Brad Cox, and passing with Loggins in the Juvenile, a smart move. So tip the cap there. I think 2 good moves on the racing management side today from the Brad Cox stable. Let's get into this Friday card as we've got some stakes action still to come Saturday and Sunday this week, but the 10-race program is lacking a stakes, but it doesn't lack for great wagering opportunities because, again, a $29,000 carryover in the Pick 6 coming up on race number 5, where that carryover Pick 6 will start. And we're back with the Keeneland Turf Pick 3 on Friday, first one of the week. Races 5, 8, and 10 will be the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. And you see my key plays. We got a couple trainers. Mike Tomlinson will talk about why we're looking at his horses, and the Todd squad, why we should be looking at everything Pletcher puts on the track this meet. The way it's going for him, he's got 2 major players in races 8 and 9 as part of this Pick 6. But the first key play is to understand that a carryover is a player's edge. And what I mean by that is there's money in the pot that was bet today on Thursday. It's going to be paid out on Friday. If you weren't part of the Pick 6 on Friday or on Thursday, that's free money in the pot that's going to spruce up the payoffs no matter what happens. If the Pick 6 chalks out and pays $800, it would have paid less than $800 without the carryover. That carryover money goes in there. It seeds the payoffs to it helps offset the takeout. Takeout in a Pick 6 is higher than most wagers. So, a lot of times it's not necessarily a player's advantage bet. You're trying to hit it. You're trying to make your meet, make your season by taking down a Pick 6, but it's rarely a player's advantage bet. It really is when we get a carryover. Now, $29,000 isn't a huge carryover. So you say, why would you get excited about that? Well, the big players aren't super excited yet, which means as an everyday player, an individual like myself, I don't play in syndicates and I don't play with teams. I play my own tickets and my own bets. The big guys aren't in this pool yet. So you're not going against with a $29,000 carryover. You're not getting against the people who are putting together the massive tickets. So it's really a nice situation for an everyday player. And it's only a $1 Pick 6 at Keeneland, not the $2 Pick 6. This is a really interesting way of taking advantage of the carryover because it's good business to bet when there are carryovers. Keep your budget down a little bit. And the big fish aren't into the pool yet with just a $29,000 carryover. Nobody hits it on Friday and it carries to Saturday. The big guys are all jumping in and there's massive tickets that you're up against trying to take it down. So my advice, the carryover is your friend. Let's handicap with the thought of, can we put a ticket together? Now, the answer to that question comes in our opinions handicapping the individual races. Can we find horses we like, and can we find them at fair prices? Let's go to the big board and take a look at our first key play of the day is to look at the carryovers, and we will do that when we get to race number 5. But you got to assess your day by looking at the carryover first and foremost. And I go to the big board here because our second topic in our key plays is it's Tomlinson time in races 1 and 6, and that's trainer Mike Tomlinson. There are some trainers who aim for Keeneland every year, and if you know the Keeneland stakes schedule and the racing schedule, it's very, very high end at the beginning of the meet, right? The best horses are out Fall Stars weekend. Second weekend, the best horses. You get into weeks 3 and 4, and I like to say blue collar. The meet gets a little more blue collar. There are a handful of trainers out there who save their horses for the end of the meet when it's going to be a little easier. An allowance race in the 3rd, 4th week of the meet is generally an easier spot than the first 2 weeks of the meet. The good horses are right out of the box at Keeneland usually. Mike Tomlinson is one of those trainers who waits for week 3 and 4. We had him on a nice one today where he had a horse coming off a long layoff, at least 7-1, turned for home with the lead, ran his butt off and ran a tremendous race and just got nailed at the wire. Ran a very good second today, but we're right. We've got the Tomlinson horses dialed in. He's got one in the opener here named Sagi. And Sagi is going to be the horse for me in race number 1 as we go to the handicapper selectors box. And both Kim Nelson and I have Sagi picked on top, the 5 horse. Gabby's got that one picked second as well. This is Mike Tomlinson with a horse whose second start off the layoff. Now, the horse today got nailed at the wire, first time off a long break. Sagi's got the second off the layoff, and also a horse who's won here at Keeneland. Now, it was on the turf, but it was at 1 1/8. And when this horse gets anywhere near, near the front and can be competitive in the front end, he usually hangs on and runs a good race. And I think in this race, there's not a ton of speed. I think Sagi can get out there, be first or second, and a horse who can make this turf to dirt transition. I'm looking forward to Sagi getting the day off to a hot start and one of 2 on the card for trainer Mike Tomlinson that I'm really interested in. So it's the 5 for me on top in race number 1. Others in here to consider: Mike Maker, Mark Cassidy, have Keystone Field and Zoomer both in here. This horse looks like a good 50,000 level claimer in Zoomer. Keystone Fields, the horse who was running cheaper in California, then stepped up in class to try the Turf Cup at Kentucky Downs. That wasn't the right spot, but on the big class drop, you would certainly consider Keystone Field in this claiming race at $62,500 level. But let's go Sagi on top, and then underneath Zoomer and Keystone Field. Back to the big picture as we look at how the wagering sequences start off. We've got the picks 5 starting in race number 1. And again, I'm singling in here. I'm going to play the Tomlinson angle, and I'm going to get through race number 1 just with the 5 horse. Now we get to race number 2, and it starts the early pick 4. Pick 4 on races 2 through 5 on this 10 race card. No overlaps in the pick 5 or to pick 4. They will all be separate from each other in terms of pick 5s and pick 5s, pick 4s and pick 4s. The pick 4 starts in race number 2, and this is a tough one for me. I went with the one Basilica de Oro. This is a horse whose running lines look like garbage. I mean, there's nothing to really like about this horse finish positions in any of the 4 career starts. But what I like here is it's Churchill Downs runner. The Churchill Downs horses have done extremely well at the maiden claiming level. The maiden special weight horses do extremely well dropping in class to the maiden claiming level. There's blinkers on and you're on the fence. And this horse did show a little bit of speed in the last 2 races, was able to break with the field. You're from the rail. The jockey at Chard's going to have to go. So I'm hoping that, look, I'm on an island here. Nobody else has the one Basilica de Oro anywhere in the ballpark. Churchill, class drop, blinkers, rail, go. Let's see what happens. It's not a high confidence play. This is a race where you want to use multiple horses, but Basilica de Oro is going to be a nice price in here and certainly one to consider. That's How She Rolls is next choice for me, the 9. This is a horse who's had plenty of chances, 9 career starts already. Again, but another one dropping from maiden special at Indianapolis. and has early speed. I mean, that's what you want in these maiden claiming cheaper races. You want horses who can get out near the front. Lady Envoy is also a consideration in here. If you look across with the other handicappers, Simpering Smile, the 2, is a second-time starter for Steve Asmussen, dropping in from a maiden special at Remington Park. We'll see how that fits for $20,000 here. Owned by the Ackerley Brothers Farm. They probably don't want to give up on one for 20 in the second career start, but they are. So it's probably a horse who's where she fits. And also picked on top the 4, Sure Enough, by Tom Leach. This is another maiden special dropper from Belterra. For Tom Van Berg, takes over the training from Brian Lynch, who had this horse. Again, maybe show some early speed. Bottom line, you are going to have to spread to feel confident of getting through this race. 19324. I think you could use all of those. What is that? That's 5 horses in there. So we're probably 5 deep in race number 2. But if we're singling Segui in race number 1 and we're right about the Mike Tomlinson angle, then we can go 5 deep here in race number 2 as long as we get some other opinions in the coming legs. Now, I almost went with one of my key plays of the day in race number 3 because of the angle. It didn't make the cut because I really wanted to emphasize the fact of how much you need to look at the carryovers and what players' advantage it can be. But when you're talking about straight plays on this card, I do think race number 3 is one of the keys early. Sing Song Bird is the horse I've got in here. Luis Saez riding for Robert Pinchins. This horse coming off the starter allowance race at Belterra Park. And there are very few situations at Keeneland where you say the Belterra Park horses really fit well. Well, since 2018, we've had $16,000 claimers going long on the main track run 13 times. Horses from Belterra own 5 of those 13 wins. That's exceptional for a lower level circuit like that. So cheap route claimers on the main track, they've won 5 of the last 13 via Belterra. So I like Sing Song Bird in here. Ancient Brown, the 2, is also from Belterra. So that's an angle I think you want to look at. Stylish Ash is from Belterra. So when you look at my picks, you're going to get a heavy Belterra influence in race number 3. Stylish Ash and Sing Song Bird look like the 2 strongest Belterra horses for me. And if you look across with the handicapper selectors box here in race number 3, this would appear to be a completely wide open race, right? We said this many times looking at these selections. I've got the 3. Scott's got the 4. Tom's got the 5. Kim's got the 8. And Gabby's got the 11. Mal in the 11 for trainer Lynn Cash, coming off a win at Thistledown in Ohio last time out, showing speed there, going the mile. Now they go a mile and a 16. Certainly can make a case for that. For that one. But in a race that looks like a complete spread job, right? 5 horses for 5 different handicappers all picked on top. We change up the public if we can narrow this race, right? This is the race where everybody's spreading. I just say lock in on the Belterra angle. Sing Song Bird, Stylish Ash, the 2 horses from Belterra that I trust the most. I'm going to use just those 2 in a race where everybody else is spreading for the pick 4 and pick 5. So in race number 3, it's the 3 and the 9. Remember, folks, you want to zig when they zag. You want to get outside the public. Is Randy Gallo, a famous late grade handicapper. Rest in peace, Randy Gallo, but one of the great tournament players and one of the biggest bettors in America. I did an interview with him many moons ago with Horse Player magazine, and I just remember the line. He's like, Jeremy, you've got to get outside the public. That was his line, and I think it's a great line of what's the public going to do in a particular race? When they're going 5 deep, 6 deep, are you singling 2 deep? And when they're singling everybody, do you have another opinion that we could be looking at knocking that horse off that everybody's jumping on? When you play multi-race wagers, get outside the public. Remember those words from the late great handicapper, Randy Gallo. Let's go to the 4th race on the program on this Friday card. It's a maiden special going 6.5 furlongs for the 2-year-olds. And back to the handicapper selectors box. Again, you can download this at Keeneland.com, print it out. There's a printable version. It's also available on the app. So whether you're on your mobile device on the app or you're at the desktop, the handicapper selectors box, just like this is a screenshot of that, is available for you to take a look at. Now, I've got a first-time starter in race number 4 at Sunset Town. Steve Asmussen trains this son of Speightstown. Ricardo Santana back in good graces with Asmussen and riding this rookie. Good works over the summer at Ellis Park, and we're going to get a shot here at Keeneland to see what this rookie can do. $275,000 purchase at the Keeneland September sale. What I like about this one being ready to go right out of the blocks, the dam was Sunset Glow. I don't know if you remember Sunset Glow or not, but about a decade ago, she was a really good one for Wesley Ward. She won the Sorrento, the Del Mar Debutante, and then went in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf against the boys, stretched out and ran a dynamite second in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf back in her day. So Sunset Glow is a win early filly. Let's see if she can produce that on the racetrack here with Sunset Town. I like an outside post position for a first-time starter. In a sprint race at 6.5, you got a fairly long run into the one and only turn. So I don't think the outside post is going to be a detriment, can actually be a help here. And that's why I've got Sunset Town on top. Lugan Knight does have the experience factor with a race under the belt. A good second for trainer Michael McCarthy in the career debut September 21st at Churchill Downs in a fast time. 109.4 Protege went that day. So that was a really good maiden race. And when you see a 6-length gap back to the third place finisher, that tells you the runner-up ran his eyes out. So Lugan Knight's going to be really tough in here. Empire's Best, the other one to consider, a first-time starter for trainer Brad Cox. This one's been working long on the work tab, had a chance to debut maybe at Ellis, didn't come around. Brad's first-time starters at the meet haven't necessarily been as potent as we've seen, but I would not be surprised if this one could run a little bit. An $85,000 purchase. They didn't spend a lot, and they waited till week 3 in the meet to debut. So I'm going to be somewhat against the Brad Cox first-time starter here in race number 4. Empire's Best I would use on the underneath. But I think you go too deep in here for the multi-race wagers. Take Lugan Knight, the experienced horse who ran a dynamite debut, and then you take the first-time starter Sunset Town with that win early pedigree for Steve Asmussen on the outside. I will use that pair, and that pair only. 12-1 will bookend the field with the old inside-outside punch in race number 4. 5th race on the card starts that carryover pick 6. It's also the first leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. $3 low takeout wager. Keeneland Turf Pick 3 will be races 5, 8, and 10 on Friday. Down to the fence and in race number 5, I think the pick 6 is going to start with maybe one of the more likely singles of the pick 6 sequence. Eyes on Target. You see across the way, the one Eyes on Target, top pick by Tom in race 5. My top pick. Gabby's got him on top, and also on top for Kim Nelson. Scott's on an island in this race with Samboro. Samboro is the second choice for Tom and I. So it's 7-1-1-7, kind of the way you might slice this one up. But Eyes on Target for trainer Mike Maker was a nice winner here in the spring meet. You do not draw off and win by 3 3/4 on the turf here very often. It wasn't Starter Lounge Company back in April, but that's a big race over this track. The draw off like that tells me the horse has a good turn of foot over this track. Comes off a couple good efforts at Saratoga. Good form. No reason to think Eyes on Target doesn't run a good race. Tactical speed from the rail. There's really not a lot of speed like in the 2, 3, 4, 5 type holes. So the speed in this race may come from the outside, but you should be able to get a good position for Eyes on Target and have no excuses. Samboro is the real X factor in here, a well-bred son of Kingman for Judd Mott Farms. First time U.S. Did try a Group 3 over in at Ascot, Royal Ascot in June. 6th in that race in the Jersey Stakes. Should obviously fit here first time U.S. Samboro would be the other one. If you're going to go more than a single in here with Eyes on Target, Samboro would be the way to do it. Again, race number 6 is going to be Keeneland Turf Pick 3. It really, to me, shakes out to be a 2-horse race. The 1 or the 7, depending on your budget, depending on your opinions in the other races in terms of the pick 6 or even the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, would determine whether or not you single here with Eyes on Target or you take the import Samboro along with them. It's either a single on the 1 or a 1-7 double combination, a dual combination of 2 horses in this race, in race number 5 as we kick off the pick 6. Let's see if we can't find some other horses we like, because a lot of people may just try to take one in that spot. Some people will double. Some may go deeper because it's the first leg. Hey, don't worry about which leg of a pick 6 or a pick 5 or a pick 4 for that matter that you tap out in. There are so many people who bet defensively and say, well, I'm going to use more horses in the first leg because I don't want to be knocked out. Chances are you're going to be knocked out anyway, right? What percentage of pick 4s and pick 5s do you actually hit? So start off with the thought that, look, you're going to bust somewhere probably. The first leg doesn't matter. So why change your opinions around to feed your emotions? Your emotions don't really care at the end of the day. I mean, It's gambling. That's why you're into this, but give yourself the best combinations, the best ticket that you can put together that matches your opinion. So if you think the opening race is a single, or if you think the opening race is only a 2 deep, don't be afraid to tap out here. Chances are you go back and look at your ticket, that's not going to be the one leg that just destroyed you. If you're off, you're off. I mean, that's kind of the way it goes. Let's go next up in the pick six sequence in race number 6. And the 6th race on the card is one of our other key plays to look at for the day. Because remember, we had some Tomlinson talk. It was Tomlinson time in race number 1. Trainer Mike Tomlinson aims his horses for this week of the meet. He's already had one good runner this week that just got nailed on the wire, but certainly ran his race and was ready to go. Tomlinson is back here in race number 6. He's on the outside with Shania. This is a class drop for a horse who's had 3 straight good efforts at Churchill Downs, and this is a good spot. I think Shania is ready to roll here. 5.5, the trip last time at Churchill, just ran out a little bit of real estate, but a clear second in that one. Again, an outside post. Don't mind it in a sprint race. I'm looking for Joe Rocco Jr. to have Shania rolling late and the horse to beat here in race number 6. Let's look across the handicapper selectors box and see who else people have on top here in race number 6. Dawnland, the 3, and the 11, Codename Kate, are the top picks for 2 of each of the other handicappers in here. They happen to be the 2 horses I have underneath. So under any stretch, the way I see this race, it's the 12, the horse to beat, but then you have to think the 3 and the 11 are the other 2 horses in here based on the public handicappers and based on the way I see the race. The 3, Dawnland, for a Tom Amos barn that can get hot. We'll see if he will. Codename Kate for Norm Cassie. Norm had a winner on the Thursday card. I believe it was in a starter allowance, somewhere back in starter allowance company here. And Norm Cassie gets top jock Tyler Gaffley on the ride. They've got a strong win percentage together, 31% according to DRF in 21 and 22. That's a heck of a jock trainer combo. So Codename Kate with Gaffleon for Norm Cassie. Certainly considerations in here. I think it's a 3 deep race, 12, 3, and 11. And as we talked about, how do we gamble on these horses that we really like? I like the 12. So I'm getting win money on the 12 Shania, but I think the 3 and 11 are pretty equal factors in here. So I want to get exacta boxes, 12-3 and 12-11. You might hear that being called an exacta key box, 12 with the 3-11. That means you have to have the 12 in one of the spots, and the 3 or 11 have to be either first or second with that runner in the exacta. So it's an exacta key box, the 12 Shania with the 3 and 11, Dawnland and Codename Kate, one of my key inter-race bets of the entire program here. And honestly, it's probably right up there with one of the best bets of the week so far as I feel confident about and that I really want to take a swing at. So race number 6, an important race on the card, and it's the second leg of the pick 6, and race number 6 is going to kick off the late pick 5. So go 3 deep in there in the pick 6 and 3 deep in the pick 5, and let's hope we can get Shania home on top to get the big money intra race as well. 7th on the card kicks off the late pick 4, and this is a really interesting 2-year-old maiden special. 6.5 furlongs. There's some outstanding pedigree, some horses they paid some big time money for. We may see a horse for next year's Triple Crown Series out of this 6.5 furlong debut race for several of these horses. There are a few that have run already. Communication Memo has run down on the rail, drew the rail on the career debut and ran 3rd behind a horse we talked about already. Communication Memo was 3rd in that career debut behind Loggins. Remember, we talked about Loggins, had that great effort in running 2nd in the Grade 1 Breeders' Futurity behind Forte. So that was coming out of the maiden race at Churchill, where Communication Memo last race. And we also see Release McCracken out of that same race as well. So as you take a look at race number 7, Release McCracken and Communication Memo are 2 horses that ran 3rd and 4th behind Loggins, an eventual Grade 1 placed horse in the next start. So you absolutely have to respect the race they come out of with the 11 and the 1. But I'm going with Way Hill Road in here. This is a first-time starter. Cost $1.6 million in the Keeneland September sale last year. By Quality Road out of the Blue Hen mare Catch the Moon. All she's done is produce Gervin, a Louisiana Derby winner, and Midnight Bourbon, a horse who was placed in the Preakness, placed in the Travers, big-time runner, Midnight Bourbon. So a horse we lost way too soon, but, you know, we're looking at Way Hill Road, a $1.6 million half-brother to Gervin and Midnight Bourbon, and the work tab is quick. Now, these works are all at the Fair Hill Training Center in Maryland, where Shug McGahee's got a lot of his horses getting prepped to the racetrack. He gets Tyler Gaffley on the ride here, and did get a gate work here at Keeneland. So a little bit of a spin over the track, if you will, out of the gate and improved coming off the training center. So I think Wayhill Road is going to be the goods and a horse we want to be watching moving forward. Will he be good enough to win at 6.5 at first asking? I'm picking him on top. I think he can do it, but I absolutely respect the race, the communication memo and release McCracken come out of. And, you're looking at a 3-deep situation in here. Seas of Normandy, another one that maybe you consider. Victory Formation, another worth considering. I think these are horses that, there are other horses that are picked on top by Gabby and by Tom Leach. There are horses I've got check marks next to saying, they're not in your top 3, but you might want to consider. Certainly, if any scratches among my top 3 happen, I definitely move these horses into the mix. And maybe you do go as much as 5 deep in this particular spot and use them. But for me, it's Wayhill Road on top. I think we've got a good race here that we're going to be looking at someday and say that was a good Keeneland maiden race. We've seen some of those Mandaloon and some of those kind of horses. Animal Kingdom back in the day coming out of the fall meet here at Keeneland that went on to big things. Let's go to the 8th race on the card. It's part of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3, our second of 3 turf races on the program. And it's also a time for Todd Pletcher to shine. We've got him, the Todd squad, highlighted here as our keys in races 8 and 9 on this Pick 6 carryover. Talking about Pletcher, he's 9 for 23 at the meet, but 5 of his 9 winners have been 7-2 or more. Only 2 winners have been below 2-1. You think Todd Pletcher winning 9 races at the meet, he'd have a bunch of 6-5 shots, 8-5 shots, 3-5 shots. Again, only 2 of his 9 winners have been less than 2-1. 5 of them have paid $9 or more. So looking good with the Todd Pletcher horses that you don't have to take such a short price. So if you say, look, big deal, you're featuring 2 Pletcher horses in the Pick 6 at the end, that's not going to pay anything. Again, the Pletcher horses are not getting hammered off the board. You got a chance here maybe to get one at a fair number. Scottish Star will be my top pick in race number 8. It is a Pletcher trainee. We're taking Todd on top in the 8th and 9th. Scottish Star also picked on top by Gabby Gaudet, but there's only 2 of us. Sunny One, the top pick, the 8 horse by our other comrades in here. Sunny One is a horse who won over the track here in April. But the last race was the ladies' turf at Kentucky Downs, finishing a decent 5th behind Dalika and also Princess Grace, 2 good speed horses. So to kind of run middling and even behind those 2 and not lose any ground, not that bad of a performance considering as good as those horses have run on the front end in the past. So Sunny One comes off a decent race and has won over the course. No argument. I just think there's some other options in here, but I like Scottish Star. Big time win, first start of the year since coming to the Pletcher barn. Was with Richard Mandela on the West Coast, and they thought this Argentine was a dirt sprinter. Todd sends the horse a mile on the turf at Saratoga, and whammo, a big-time effort, and beat a good group. Navisian Sunrise, Zainal Rob, that is a good turf allowance group that Scottish Star knocked off at Saratoga, better than this group. And so I think this horse just runs right back to that and scores the victory. Scottish Star, the top pick for me. Princess Fauzia, one that you want to consider in here, coming off a decent effort last time from off the pace. There's a little bit of speed in here. Maybe a horse from off the pace could come and get a piece, but there's not a ton of speed, So I don't think you want to be too far out of this. Bella Gamba's another horse who likes to come from a little bit off of it. Stalked in 4th here at Keeneland last fall and ran a good second. It's going to have to be a little bit closer to the pace than the last few stakes races that Bella Gamba comes out of, but it's Nacho Correas and Vincent Chaminade. We talked about that jock trainer combo. So the last couple days at Keeneland, the last 4 starters, 2 wins and a second place finish for Correas and Chaminade teaming up. They got Bella Gamba in here. I might be moving Bella Gamba up. Let's, see how the day plays out, but I really like Scottish Star in this spot. I think Scottish Star is a potential single. I would not use Princess Fozzie on top. I have the horse picked 2nd, but it's not the 2nd most likely winner. I put my horses in order. When I do public handicapping, I try to put the order I have the horses in, the order I think they'll finish. And there are a lot of horses who are good for underneath, who run a lot of 2nds and 3rds. But when it comes to victories, they just don't have the knockout punch. I don't think Princess Fozzie is a major win contender in this race. Nothing wrong with the horse 5 for 18, but just stylistically, the way this race sets up, I just think the horse is going to finish underneath. Very likely horse for run 2nd or 3rd. I would say if you're going to single in here, it's Scottish Star in race number 8. If you're going to go too deep, I would move Bella Gamba, my 3rd choice in the race, up to the second most likely winner, because we talked about these hot connections, right? And be honest with you, I do public handicapping a day or two in advance. And as we get in here and we get closer to the races and the look ahead, I've had a chance to see a little bit more what we saw today, again, with another Correas winner, back-to-back, back-to-back days and Chaminade riding. So that's why we're looking ahead, right? I mean, we see what's going on. We assess. I handicap early. I get the stats, the trends, try to set the race shape up, and let's be flexible and see what happens. That's why you prepare ahead, so that when the day of the races come, you've got the scenarios playing out in your head. You see something else that happens earlier in the card, you can adjust to it. You're not just picking up the past performances for the first time and trying to play catch up with, 15, 18 minutes to get your bet in. And do all the other work that needs to go along with handicapping and betting smartly. So race number 8, I think it's a too deep situation given what we've seen. I do like Scottish Star quite a bit, but I'm going to move Bella Gamba up there. If you're playing the pick 6, the pick 5, the late pick 4, I think you want to use both of those runners. Let's go to the 9th race on the program, and the 9th race is the Allowance Cove feature on a card that's got several allowance races that are high quality. Falconet for Todd Pletcher, top pick by Scott and I. Scratch Cat, the top pick for Gabby and Tom. Kim Nelson on the island with Cocktail Moments. And for me, Falconet is an impressive 3-year-old filly who's really, since she hit the racetrack, she debuted a second-place finisher. Then she came to Keeneland and won her second career start. She turned some heads from the 9-hole. That was not an easy place to win from back on April 21st when she stretched down around 2 turns for the first time and had the widest post. That's a very difficult assignment. When horses stretch out, sprint the route for the first time, I want them on the inside where they got horses outside of them to kind of keep them hemmed in on the first turn. With all that space and the grandstand and everything going on and the run into the first turn, going 2 turns for the first time, if you're on the outside, it's difficult to have a horse professional enough to handle all those different variables. That Falconet not only did that, but then went on to win handily by 2. I thought this stamped this as a really nice Uncle Mo filly to look forward to. And she went on to run second in the Iowa Oaks, and she was second in the Seneca Overnight Stakes at Churchill last time out off a minor layoff. I like the Churchill horses in the allowance races this meet on the dirt. They've been absolutely knockouts. The horses from the Churchill September meet have dominated the dirt allowance races at the meet. I like Falconet a lot in here. Ice Orchid's the other one who's probably going to be a little bit better price. John Ortiz trains this daughter, a Super Saver. Super Saver, the Kentucky Derby winner, is a very effective sire on the main track at Keeneland. Especially, I like him in the route races as well, his offspring. So Ice Orchid's one to consider in there at a little bit better price than Falconet. But I do think Falconet, of the 2 Pletcher horses back-to-back, Scottish Star in race 8 and Falconet in race 9, I think Falconet is the more likely single of the 2, because I think Scottish Star has Bella Gamba to worry about. I don't think Falconet has a major challenge in this particular race. Scratch Cat's the top pick by a couple of my cohorts and trying to construct their thought process on Scratch Cat. I've got the horse picked 3rd. I think a contender in there. Falconet beat this horse by a length and a quarter last time. Now back to a track where we've seen Falconet run and win over. Scratch Cat ran a disappointing 4th in the only career start at Keeneland, beaten 5 lengths with no real excuse in that particular spot. So horse for course, if at Churchill, Falconet is better than Scratch Cat, then at Keeneland, I think Falconet is even more better. Is that a word? More better? Mo better is how we used to say it in the South when I lived in Oklahoma. He's mo better. So I think Falconet is mo better than Scratch Cat when they get to Keeneland, if he was better when those 2 fillies matched up at Churchill. So for me, it's Falconet as a potential single. If you wanted to, get in here with Ice Orchid, I wouldn't argue, and you could get a really nice price. But I wouldn't double the cost of a pick 4 or pick 5 ticket to play the pedigree angle with Super Saver when you have a horse who looks just right, a filly who looks just right in Falconet. So for me, Falconet is a single. But if you've got your pick 4, pick 6 ticket already put in, you're sitting there, you got the single on Falconet, and race 9 comes up, and all of a sudden the odds on the 4 in there, or the 7, I should say, Ice Orchid, you're sitting around and Ice Orchid's 8-1, 10-1, 12-1. Get in. There's nothing wrong with betting a horse to win that you didn't use in a pick 4, pick 5, pick 6. Value is value, and I think it's the second most likely winner in the race. And if you can get 6, 7, 8-1, that's worth an intra-race bet. Is it worth doubling the cost of your pick 6, pick 4, or pick 5? that's a different discussion. In this case, I don't think so because I do like Falconet. So it's not that I'm trying to find somebody to beat Falconet. Let's see how it turns out. Again, Pletcher, again, 5 of his 9 winners have paid $9 or more. So they're not getting bet off the board. Let's see if we might be able to just get a moderate price, right? If we're singling Falconet and the horse pays $6, I'll take it. You know, it's the singles that are 2 to 5 that everybody has that don't provide a whole lot of value. 10th and final race on the card is the final leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. Going to wrap things up on the turf in a maiden special weight company, 1 1/8 here. Pletcher's had a good meet, and we've talked about the horses for Graham Motion, how well they have all run, it seems. On the turf, Graham Motion, Massoria, John Velasquez teaming up. This horse off since January at Gulfstream Park. Had 2 good career efforts for this daughter of Invincible Spirit. If you're worried about the layoff, Graham Motion has already had a winner at the meet on a February layoff from Gulfstream. Same kind of situation. His horses are ready to run. They're coming off the Fairhill Training Center, smack dab in the mix in every race they've been in practically. So for me, it's Massoria in the last race for Graham Motion as the top choice and a fairly confident top choice in here. Quality Star is one of those horses I talk about that I've got picked second because if you look at the career record, 5 for 7 in the money, 7 for 7 in the superfecta, but no victories for this daughter of Animal Kingdom. If you're going to play her on top, she's already had plenty of chances. She's been beaten at 6 to 5, 2 to 1, and 3 to 1. Why play today if the price is short again? Quality Star did have a bad post position last time out, but the post is, somewhat better here in the 7 hole. The other horse in here to consider is the 13 5 prizes, but again, the same kind of deal. Now, this is Todd Pletcher. Could Pletcher potentially sweep the final 3 on the card? I like him in the 8th. I like him in the 9th. He's under consideration in the 10th with 5 prizes, but that horse is going to have to get in off the also eligible list. And with 5 prizes, it's another one. Deep Closer hasn't quite gotten there. Do you trust this one on top? The answer is no. For me, it's Massoria again. So I'm closing with some confidence in races 9 and 10. Falconet, Massoria for me. Now, my public handicappers in here look at race number 10 completely different, right? You've got 4 different horses picked on top. Scott's got the 1, the 2 for Gabby, the 5 for me, and then the 10 for Kim and Tom. So 4 different horses picked on top. As I mentioned, the Randy Gallo advice, get outside the public. If the public handicappers in here are thinking this is a wide open race and 4 different horses are picked on top, it's probably going to be bet similarly on the tote board with a lack of confidence. Be confident in Massoria. If you're right, you're right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I'm going to go down with that one. And I'm going to be singling on the back end of this, multi-race set here with Falconet and Massoria. If I can get both of those horses in at the end of the day, I'm going to feel pretty good about myself. More than just a straight daily double play on the last 2 races. This might be something that can clinch a pick 4, a pick 5, and if all goes well, maybe even a pick 6 with that $29,000 carryover. That's going to wrap up our analysis on the 10-race card. A lot of fun to go through it. I'm looking at the timer, 43 minutes and 6 seconds. Feels like we're like 20 minutes into it. So hopefully I didn't drone on tonight, but kind of want to roll, liking these races. Wanted to give them a little more look because of the pick 6 and flow through them a little bit more. So hope you have a great day tomorrow. Knock on wood. We'll try to keep our handicapping up to snuff and keep above the Mendoza line and in the plus for this Keeneland fall meet after a good spring meet. Pleased to say we've continued the roll, and we hope that it happens again tomorrow afternoon. Hope you win at the races as well. We will talk to you on Friday night to look ahead to the Saturday card, the Raven Run and the Perryville on the Saturday program to look forward to tomorrow night when we reconvene at 8:30. Wicked, Halo, and Gunite, the Steve Asmussen stable mates, will be the featured horses in the Raven Run and the Perryville. And then on Sunday, we've got the Dowager Stakes for the turf marathoners for the fillies and mares. We already had the Sycamore at the meet for the boys going long at 1.5 miles. That was last week. The gals get their shot on Sunday. That field already drawn for Sunday's feature race, the Dowager Stakes. You can check out the entries at Keeneland.com. Be sure to check in with Scott and Gabby tomorrow morning, 11:30 Eastern for Keeneland Today. They'll give you updated track conditions and everything. It's supposed to be another beautiful day. Temperatures warming back up a little bit, around 70 degrees and sunny. Oh, Mother Nature, we owe you one. You're going to get even with us at some point, but the weather has been fantastic for the meet. On behalf of Horse Player Now and everybody at Keeneland, good luck. We'll talk to you tomorrow night.